This is a short video to accompany the Chapter 4 video for the preliminary design technology lessons that I've created for Chapter 4. And what I wanted to provide an alternative explanation for is for abstract concepts. Now, I've given an answer because there isn't a whole lot of elaboration given the textbook. Partly this has to come down to my interpretation and my research. So what I've done is I've given probably, I think, the more useful interpretation in the main video, but I'm going to give the secondary interpretation as well, which is designers often have to produce stuff that is based on an abstract concept. So the term an abstract noun, I've got abstract art here just because I thought that would be something good to show in a video, but if we have an abstract noun, an abstract noun is a noun that is referring to an idea or a quality rather than something that you can touch. So here we have some good examples, ones I didn't necessarily have: truth, danger, and happiness. Now, the reason why how this could relate to designers is that designers may be asked to design an interior space, for instance, to say, I want a concept that really conveys the concept of truth or danger or happiness. And for people who have the opposite of an abstract noun is a concrete noun, and that for people who like to deal with concrete concepts, they want to deal with a specific and measurable concept. They want to say, well, what does that mean? Do you want the room to be dangerous? And no, I don't want it to be dangerous. I want it to evoke the concept, the abstract concept of danger, or of, so we have a few others here as well. So time or connectedness. And so that in order to represent time in the form of, say, interior design, or for instance, sculpture, or even a logo, I want the logo to reflect the abstract concept of connectedness. I want the logo to reflect the idea of home. And so someone who comes from a more concrete, who sees the world in more concrete terms, they'll say, well, I can draw a picture of a house. No. A house isn't what identifies a home. A home might be a candle. A home might be family sitting together on the couch. So the similar concept of luxury. So luxury might have a definition. We might say, well, I'm sure that luxury does indeed have a definition. But the point is that if we're trying to represent a concept of luxury, luxury means different things to different people. It doesn't have a specific way that it can be represented. Honesty, if I'm trying to create an ad that gives a concept of honesty, yes, I could show someone for instance, picking up money and returning it. That might be a way of conveying an abstract concept of honesty. We can't draw a picture of honesty. We can't draw a picture of comfort. Just to go through, I mean, that you can read, but maybe if you're listening to this just as the audio, other examples are wildness. We could draw a tiger, but a tiger could represent the wild, but a tiger could also represent sadness if it's shown, say, for instance, in a zoo, or it could be representing savagery, or a tiger could represent stealth. These are very different concepts where they not all necessarily conveyed with wild. The same way the jungle could convey the concept of exploration, or it could also convey the idea of a bounty. So if it, for instance, showed lots of fruit. Justice is usually represented by a statue of a woman who holds scales and is blindfolded. Now that's an abstract concept, that's an abstract representation of the concept of justice, but that is only relevant in a certain tradition, in sort of a Western tradition. I could imagine I could go to a unexplored tribe in Papua New Guinea or the Amazon, and I could show them a picture of a woman with a blindfold holding scales, and they would have no concept whatsoever that was in any way representing justice. Adventure is perhaps characterized by something like by the character of Indiana Jones, whereas another person could see that same character of Indiana Jones to represent machismo, or masculinity, or recklessness, or simply being unkempt. They're two different ways of being dirty. There's simply different ways of representing, or that object could represent things. Hope is a very difficult concept to convey. This is where the hope poster which has an interesting story. That if you ever watch the excellent documentary Exit Through the Gift Shop, Shepard Fairey, one of the characters who's featured prominently in that movie, was the person who came up with the Hope poster. And it's interesting to find out how that resolved for him at the end of the movie. But that poster, whether or not it was effective in conveying and producing the sentiment of hope, I mean, that same image could have been represented thoughtfulness, or could have represented patience. It could have represented, depending on what we know about the person, it could represent corruption. So two other terms, intensity and exhaustion. We have different ways of representing these things, but they're still abstract concepts, and although we can represent them, they're not necessarily universal. And that if someone asks me to say, look, I want you to represent, I want a logo that has a lot of intensity, I want you to design an interior space that has a lot of intensity, that's an example where good designers can take that concept and try and find a way of understanding what the essence of that that abstract concept is, and finding a way of representing it and transforming that to a way that you can convey that sentiment without having to have it explained by the four-letter word hope underneath the poster. Hopefully that's been somewhat useful. It's like I said, this is a secondary explanation for abstract concepts, perhaps somewhat more abstract than the one that I gave in the main video. But this is probably a little bit more of what the author, what Wesley and the others intended when they wrote their book.